All right. Hello, everybody. Kathy and I want to pop on tonight for a quick coaching because I wanted to touch base with everybody, congratulate everybody for making it through holidays. I hope you were able to utilize some tools that we had talked about. Focus on the abs or the presence more than the absence. And I hope it was better than you expected, even if it wasn't great. Um, so I'm going to open up discussion about that first of all. Is there anybody that wants to talk about how Christmas went and share and where you thought you would be versus where you were, or just any milestones you feel like you hit and did better with?
I'll share.
Go for it, Lee.
It was better than what I thought. Um, we didn't do family gatherings. We had
Now,
invites, but we said no.
is
So
Skylar's day on Christmas Day or is his day after
Boxing
Christmas?
Day,
So it's the
yeah,
day
the day
after.
after.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, and I think you posted about that. I think I just had a bit of a hangover from the build up of it all and emotional, like yeah, I think everyone's expectations, um, which compared to last year, yeah, I didn't really let it get to me. It was more like, what are we doing? And it is not the best day of the year to expect everyone to come together. Everyone's doing their own thing. And
Right.
yeah, so it's a little different this year. I think everyone thought, oh, but you're doing, as in my family, like parents, siblings, there's, you're doing so well. And so let's just do all the family stuff. And then when I went, oh no, you know, I'm taking a backseat to that. We're going to do our own thing, the three of us. Um, they were a little offended, which I was surprised about. So I guess
Did
it's because
you
they see me
have
more.
Yeah, it is because they think that life is now moved forward, which it has, but
It has.
they don't understand excuse me, at what that pace looks like for you. Because guys, for the outside world, it's gonna look like, oh, she's functioning again. She's back to work, she's showering, she's eating, she's grocery shopping, she's doing all the things. So to them, life is resumed as normal. They don't realize that normal is completely different now,
Yeah.
and what that can mean for everybody, because it's not their experience. Were you able to extend some grace to them for not, like, the bless their hearts, Lee, like
For
bless their
sure.
hearts?
That's so different this year. And that's what I've learned is grace. Like I don't take offense. Like it's a little draining to manage, but the big difference this year. I'm like, yeah. So I think that, yeah, and I don't know, I guess that it's just a lot of things I now realize that I'm healing, so the other relationships I have to work on. Like, with my mum, I set boundaries with her and said, I can't be the person you complain to about making Christmas lunch this year and all your shopping woes.
Mhm.
I can't be that person. Yeah, she'd still do it. So I had to, that was my only issue.
And that is a
I'm not in
byproduct
person.
of when we heal, we start to see things in our status quo that we're not happy with anymore. And Becky, you talked a little bit about this last time. This is kind of where, Elite, what was this? Skylar's year two, year three, year
Year
two,
three. Year
year
three.
three. Okay,
Mm.
so you're about right on schedule with that then. So when you've been working healing really, really hardcore for a year, 2 years, 3 years, what you'll find is, and Lee, you've heard Kathy and I talk about this, and I know that you've agreed to it too, is like you start to turn a corner after you've learned to connect with your kids and you've really gotten your daily relationship and you're in your new normal and you don't hate your new normal because you've worked through triggers and you've worked through just all kinds of things, and the grief and the mourning period is over for you and you're learning to celebrate and honor them. Then you turn the corner and the journey starts being about you and your life and stuff from your past or your shadow stuff that needs healing. So it sounds like that was more um prevalent for you this year, Lee, where you were like, oh,
Oh,
I gotta
yeah.
set boundaries here and here and here and here.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
my grief side was fine. Like, so, Skylar was present. Her friends were sharing signs with me and doing things to honor, which was awesome. My brothers, who have been the biggest skeptics, are on board with everything now, so that was really cool. But yeah, you're right. It's just all that shadow stuff now, which is a bit
All
icky.
that. Yeah, I get it. And if you are committed to healing, which for me, it's like I'm committed to healing and growing in some way, shape, or form for the rest of my earth life. And it doesn't feel like punishment to me anymore. Like I've surrendered to the fact that that's why I came here. And there's a lot of stuff to be healed, a lot of generational curses to be broken, that apparently the buck stops with me. Yay, that's fun sometimes. But you'll start looking at your relationships and all these things within you that you want healed too, that have nothing to do with your grief. The only thing that have to do with your grief and your child leaving body is that part of one of the gifts of that is that they've opened up this world and your awareness to all the other things that you wish to be different now. And that's where a lot of boundary setting, a lot of surrender, a lot of grace, a lot of bless their hearts come into play.
Yeah, you're right. And it is a gift. It is a gift because I can step back and observe it all and go, wow, this is interesting. So not taking offense, I'm just kind of observing at the moment. So yeah.
Exactly. So I'd call that a win, Lee.
It's a win.
It's a win. Sure. I like to hear the wins for sure.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to share how it went? Anybody at
I'll
all?
go.
Go for it, Rebecca.
I noticed I had a lot more sadness, grief waves, but they were short, and I noticed I was able to notice the triggers and shift. So
good.
The waves of grief didn't last, a long time, but I noticed there were a lot more than last Christmas, which is kind of weird, but I was able to shift.
As you move into your awareness of it, especially like for you guys that are really into your healing and you have already learned how to like take the pieces out of the stew, because you said you recognize more triggers. So you're just aware of why they came. Did you have some triggers that you were like, what the heck?
Yeah. So my mom, so I have, normally I have this white candle that I take with us to, and I light it, and I forgot it. Mm-hmm. And so my husband even came back to get it, but he didn't have the key. So long story short, we weren't able to get it. And so like that, I like was freaking out on that I wasn't able to bring the candle. And then, I was able to talk myself and say, he's still present. That was just
good.
Something.
Good. The funny thing, you're the second client of mine that has said, I forgot the main thing that I usually do. And so even though it triggered a grief wave for you, the simple fact that you forgot the main thing that you normally do, it's a testament to your measured progress, truly. You know what I mean? Because think about like you're like, okay, I gotta have this, I gotta do this, and this. So the fact that, like I did the same thing, like the candle, it's a battery operated candle that I normally leave lit. Like 2 hours into the day, the batteries ran out. I took the back off. I laid the batteries down and laid the back down. And, for the next 3 days, that's where they stayed. And I'm like, it's fine. He doesn't need his candle lit. He's right here. So it's actually a testament. And I love the fact that you were able, that's a huge piece of healing, because something that you use to represent his physical presence, you were able to shift through that as a trigger because you forgot it, which is a testament to your measured progress,
Well, and then I was just like, he was always late to Christmas dinner anyways. And so I was like, oh, well, he was late. He's late again anyway. So
late again.
So it was good. It was good. That surprised me how, and then my mom bought me a blanket with all his pictures on it, and
nice.
But no, I was able to shift pretty quick and notice them and shift. So it was good.
Good. Awesome. Excellent. Good. Who else?
I'll go.
Go for it, Miss Lynn.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good, I think for the first time, I'm actually looking forward to the next year. I think it's going to be a good year. And this is the first year I probably actually looked forward to the
That's
new.
a huge win.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I mean, you
Those
still
of you,
miss.
but
What's that?
yeah, those of you that are finding that it was good, are you surprised that it was good?
I don't know if I was surprised really. I think I kind of expected it to be okay, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Good.
Yeah.
That is definitely a win. Definitely. And it's okay if it wasn't good too. You guys remember that too. It's okay if it wasn't good and that you're still learning to move through it. Does anybody else want to share how it went? How it was?
I'll share.
Go
So
for it.
I think mine was just a little strange. It wasn't really sad, and it definitely felt like Sarah was around. But there's so much else that's going on in my life right now that it's like lots of other stuff to just deal with and handle. So
Right.
that feels a bit overwhelming to me. And it does
Okay.
feel a little bit like, I don't understand why I have so many lessons that I need to keep learning. You know, like I feel like personally, I'm
Mhm.
sort of a step backwards from where, not so much in the grief part, but just my own, like where I want to be myself, because everything keeps taking over. And some of it is definitely reminiscent of going through stuff that Sarah went through.
Do you feel like they're lessons that keep repeating? Like, do you feel like some of them are the same lessons, or do you feel like they're different lessons?
No, I
Or-
think there's a similarity there. I just haven't quite figured it out.
So what you want to do, Sharon, is because when you get into the overwhelm, that's the stew boiling, right? So literally, I would get pen and paper and write down each individual thing and literally chart, itemize it, like this one is this, why would this come? What would it come to teach me? Write it down. Second one, this one, third one, this one. And then you can start to separate it out in your brain. That way the boiling stew doesn't overtake you, because that's when overwhelm comes and you're just like, holy crap, I just can't deal with all of this, right? So
Yeah,
you
for
just
sure.
take it literally one thing, one piece at a time. And once you get that clarity and kind of have it more organized, where you can literally look at it and be like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Then you'll be able to catch a breath and then move forward with whatever you need to do in each instance. And
Okay.
it'll help you walk into surrender of those things, instead of being like, why is this happening again? Why? Why? It will give you some of those answers, because when you say, it's great that you're saying why, okay, what is the, why is basically what has this come to teach me? So
Sure.
chop it up out there on the paper, and then really sit down and say, okay, what has this come to teach me? Has it come to teach me patience or expansion, or to further my healing, or compassion, or surrender? Like, pinpoint it out so you can get it more organized in your brain, so it's not just swirling around up in there. And I think you'll find that the anxiety will ease a little bit at that point. What that does is it kind of gives the ego self management tools,
Mm.
right? So it organizes it and gives it more of a sense of control over it. You know what I mean? So try that and see if that helps. Just getting the stew, taken apart and situated, and kind of naming what each thing is, and see if you feel a little bit less overwhelmed. Now you can look at your list and be like, well, shit, this sucks. That's fine. But at least you've taken the first step to getting it organized, so it's not just swirling around in your brain. You know
Well,
what
I
I
think
mean?
it's safe to assume that would be my first reaction, and then I could go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing to do when that's your first reaction is, for me, I would get out of another piece of paper and write a burn letter and be like, what the hell is this bullshit about? And I would vomit on the paper, and then I would burn it and transmute it and breathe in some surrender, and then move forward. And don't forget to ask the archangels and your higher ups to step in to help you navigate through that with what you feel like you are supposed to learn. ask them to clear the path, ask them to help you learn it with ease,
Yeah.
right? Can I learn this with more ease? And what you're going to see is like a lot of my lessons do repeat themselves, like, oh, the same shit happened to me over and over. And I'm like, ugh. But what I've noticed throughout the years is each time it happens, my reaction becomes different. So I can measure my growth in how my reaction is. Like something will happen. One thing that's happened pretty much consistently since I started this work is that a lot of times I'll have somebody backbiting me for the work that I do. And the first time it happened, oh my God, I was in bed for days, crying, torn apart. Oh my God, this is so horrible. Well, part of being a human is that's going to happen with other human beings, right? So what has happened when it's happened, since then, is I've learned to be able to extend grace. I don't have to interact with those people, but it doesn't have to completely obliterate my sense of self-worth or my sense of, that I'm not standing in my purpose or however it affects me internally. So I think that the lessons will repeat themselves. And if we have the awareness to look at it, and each time, if we see that maybe whatever it is, it's hurting us less, we're reacting to it in a healthier way, we're not letting it, knock down our self-worth or whatever it is that eventually maybe those things will come and they just don't bother us anymore. Or maybe those things come and we just move through them with a really no difficulty because we've mastered the lesson at that point. Because I kept saying, shit, why is the same thing keep happening? And I was saying, am I a bad person? Am I doing something wrong? When really it was about, no, Nikki, you have to stand in your power and realize that you are worthy no matter what anybody else thinks, was my biggest lesson in that particular instance. So I think you'll get some clarity doing some of those exercises.
Yeah. I mean,
You
it's
know?
certainly worth a try.
Yeah. And it probably won't be a one-off, Sharon.
Right.
It may be where you may have to revisit it, but it's always good to, like I said, take the ingredients out of the stew and look at each one individually. Otherwise it boils over and then there's a mess, right? And you feel overwhelmed, and that's when we can get thrown into like victimhood, right? Like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? So try it and see, and keep us posted and see if it helps you breathe a little bit lighter at least.
That would be nice. I have, my art school is turning 20 actually on February 10th, it turns 20. And
Nice.
this September, I finally said, like, I really want to shift that. I really want to do it differently. So that's like, I've done the other kind of painting work, and I hired teachers and I paid people differently so I could take myself out of the equation as much as possible. And then my husband had a cardiac arrest, and my brother-in-law got lung cancer, and my son's getting divorced. And guess who's working at the art school like all the time now? Because I can't.
Karen, are you back working at the art school in order to stay distracted, or is it because you have to?
Oh, no, yes, it is always a distraction, but it's not the distraction I choose. I actually have to work around it to make everything else work. I have to keep it going in a different way. I had a teacher leave she got a great job. She should have taken the job. I'm not the least bit annoyed by that. I just hate having to have another teacher, but I wish her well. She's a great person.
Right.
Just a lot of stuff. And it's back to like when I took care of my daughter when she was sick for almost 5 years. I ran my school remotely. So now I'm back to like, I'm the driver. I'm the prescription filler. I'm right back in the medical world. So
and it's going to be beneficial too for you to get a really strong footing on what your truth is. If you have a truth and I do, my truth encompasses soul contracts. I believe in pre-life planning. I believe in all that. So to realize which pieces of those are things that they signed up for, and figure out what you signed up for within that, right? So, and figure out ways if you want to do it differently. So if you don't want to be the medicine runner, figure out a way to have the medicine delivered, right? To lighten your burden so that you don't have to be back as the sole caretaker for all of the people.
right.
You know what I mean? So this could be your opportunity, like, okay, Sharon, you're always the sole caretaker for all the people. So this is your time, even though everybody is battling these things, for you to say, I'm going to step back a little bit, have this time space for me. So that means meds have to be delivered. That means, I mean, doctor's appointments, obviously you can't very well be like, I'm going to Uber you there. Don't do that. But like with things that you can have control over, like the medicine, or
Mhm.
even, it may be grocery delivery, just whatever that looks like, find ways that you can also serve yourself. Because if you continue to keep having to pour, at some point, you're going to shut down because your cup's going to be empty. So figure out ways. Some of this could have come so you can figure out ways to keep your cup full enough, right? Without giving it all out all the time.
Okay, I have a question then. So how do you know
Yeah.
if that's the case, or if it's like, I wasn't supposed to do that other work?
Which other work?
Like
The-
what I really was choosing to do, what I thought was what I should be doing. Maybe
this
I'm
is
not
the-
supposed to do that.
Well, this is where divine timing comes in. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to do that. It just means there are things that have to be taken care of before that door can open with ease. Because what's meant for you won't pass you by. So if it's meant for
okay.
you, it's not going to completely pass you by anyway. It will come back around. The divine timing is everything. So maybe universe is like, oh yeah, we do want Sharon to do that, but we need to teach her. She needs to learn how to manage these sorts of things without giving herself out to everybody so much that she doesn't have anything left to be able to follow what she needs to follow. So it could very well be a lesson like that. And
Interesting.
inevitably it's going to be something that you signed up for, of course, but that could be why. So that's why when you hear me say, like, what is this trying to teach me? I'm not talking about, I mean, obviously on the earth level, yes, like if you're, cutting in front of people in traffic, there's going to be a lesson there, like, don't cut in front of people in traffic.
Sure.
But like, you're talking about the broader perspective. What is the universal lesson there that you would have wanted to take away from that while you're earthside? So really dive into those things and look at it. And I do that even with small things in my normal life now. Like, I will look at, like, okay, from a spiritual large perspective standpoint, why would I have signed up for that? And I try to figure that out. And usually what happens for me is once I can pinpoint what that is and I move through it, knowing that, and it becomes, I can move through it with a lot more ease.
Yeah.
Right. It
I see
tames
that.
my ease self. I don't have the resistance. I don't have the need to control it as much, so asking that has become like a signpost for me. That's something I do with literally everything in my life. Even when something breaks down around my house, I'm like, oh, okay, what's this trying to teach me? Oh, okay, it's trying to teach you patience. Whatever it is. And I try to take hold of that and try to move through it that way.
It's,
Yeah,
I
so-
had signed up for this class before everything kind of like hit the fan. So I still at least did the class. I mean, at least, I made time to show up for almost everything.
Well, yeah, and that's you showing up for you. So
Yeah.
that's huge because and maybe that was the catalyst. It's like you still took a step back and said, I'm doing this for me. I'm going to show up there, even though I have 80 million people to take care of right now.
Yeah.
I also have to take care of me. So I think that's very telling in and of itself.
Yeah, that does
know?
feel like a win.
Yeah. There's a huge win in that. Try the exercise to break it all down.
I will.
And keep me posted, because I think once you can get kind of that perspective and that frame of mind, especially when you have a lot going on, even when there's not a lot going on, it'll gel a lot easier. And don't worry, like, stay very present, right? So right now you can't move in the direction that you felt pulled to move in. That just is, to me, is a sign of divine time. Like, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means right at this moment, the door's not all the way open because there are other things that have to be taken care of before the door can be walked through.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's helpful. Thank you.
you're welcome. Good stuff. Anybody else want to share anything? You're all very quiet tonight.
I'll say something. I haven't even actually celebrated Christmas yet, so I was supposed to go to my son's on Christmas, and that was kind of part of the issue. Was I there go the dogs. I was trying to get it together, get stuff together for the babies, and
Mhm.
and I couldn't do anything. I mean, I just, it was, do
Like
a little.
walking through wet concrete. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I just called my son and I said, look, I just, and fortunately him and his wife are both in medical field. So I was like, look, here's what's going on, and I'm just not going to make it tomorrow, and so we postponed it, and then of course I ended up getting admitted. So I'm going Sunday to spend, our Christmas. So, and I don't, it's, when I'm there and around, I've got a 2-year-old grandson and of course the new baby girl. And so it's not real hard as far as,
Staying present with them.
Patrick and yeah, because they
Yeah.
kind of keep me occupied, but at the same time, it's there's always that little bit of, wishing Patrick had been able to be here to know him, because he just loved babies. And
So one thing to remember with that, Rima, where your shift is with that is, how long has Patrick been?
this
out of
would be
body?
his second Christmas.
Okay,
gone,
and
so.
how and you have a 2-year-old and a new baby.
Yeah, he did meet Abel when he was first born, because he was born in October, and Patrick actually passed in January, so that date's coming up too. So
Okay, so just so you know, with new baby,
mhm,
Patrick actually met new baby before you met new baby.
good point. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking that, your shift to
Mhm.
that is, if that feels like a truth to you, if it brings you
Mhm.
peace and it feels like a truth, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like Patrick met the baby before I even met the baby.
That's
You know?
true. Yeah.
And
good
another
point.
thing to remember is that kids, so when we incarnate, right, we get wiped with the earth amnesia, but we don't have social programming yet. And so we're
Mhm.
not wiped out all the way, because social
Yeah.
programming does that the rest of the way. So like, pay attention, because
Mhm.
your grandkids may be interacting with him, because
Mhm.
kids are still very open to spirit.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking, oh, I wish he was here to play with it, like
He might. Yeah, he is there.
he
Yeah.
probably is very much there playing with them, and they're
Mhm.
probably very aware of him, whereas you're not, because you're socially programmed.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So those are two big shifts to practice with that. And that's going to be part of like living in the truth that he is not dead and gone, right?
Mhm.
He's left his body, but he's invisible with superpowers. So he can play with those
Exactly.
babies. Right
Mhm.
now he can play with them a hell of a lot easier than you can, because
Yeah.
you have low hemoglobin and you're
Yeah.
tired,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I definitely can't keep up with that 2-year-old.
Yeah. So it's something to take into your awareness when you go and be with them soon, is to literally pay attention. One of the things, I had a friend that had a new baby shortly, well, he was born like, gosh, what, like a week before Leaf passed. And then a week, so he was like, the baby was like 2 weeks old, and she brought him over and she came over to check on me, and that baby just was staring up in the corner, just kind of giggling and cooing, and
Mhm.
super new baby. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of unusual behavior
Yeah,
for a
that's
super new
unusual.
baby.
Yeah.
And we started saying, well, do you see Leaf over there? Like, are you
Mhm.
seeing Leaf? And so be aware of those things, because babies, kids, and animals,
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know, they're super open in their sixth senses,
Mhm.
not like the rest of us who are all shut down and
Yeah.
glossed over through
Yeah.
through all of our years and such.
I'm still
So
struggling with learning to communicate on my own. So yeah, that's true. So every now
Well-
and then I kind of feel like I can discern, but and I know, that's one of the biggest things you've taught me is that I need to tell the difference between ego and
yeah, and in January, Kathy and I are going to get like the foundational classes set up on a schedule, so you guys will have those. If and I know some of you came in off other pages.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of people in the queue because in December we don't generally admit anybody into Healing Warrior Parents. But if
Mhm.
you're not in Healing Warrior Parents,
I am. Yeah.
go in. You are okay, good, because that's
Yeah.
where I'll post it. If you're not in Healing Warrior Parents, go ahead and go over and join the big group. But Rita, we will get we're gonna try to get because I'm really bad with organization. So
Yeah.
Kathy is gonna whip me into shape.
I am too. I'm right there with you.
She's gonna whip us into shape, and we're gonna set up the classes on a quarterly schedule. So we'll have an ego self, we'll have an ego recognition and taming class, we'll have a divination tool and communication class. When
Yes.
I teach divination tools, we try to tap into the discernment of telepathy with those to get some awareness of that happening. We'll teach a shifting death class. We'll teach a trigger shifting class for those of you that have triggers that you're still working through. And that can be grief triggers or life triggers. So a lot of those foundational classes that we haven't offered in a good long while, we're going to get set up. So keep your eyes peeled for those. Some of those would probably be really good for you because we go, this program is long, but we're so geared on specific things to get the presence, not the absence. That, I mean, ego taming, it can go really in depth. So it takes a full class all on its own. And I think Angie and Rebecca and Lee have taken some of those more foundational. Lynn has taken some of them too, some of those more foundational classes. So it's just about learning about the awareness. And the more you learn about that stuff, the easier those things are going to become. The easier. I didn't say they would
Right.
become easy, but they will
Yeah,
become
I hear
easier.
you.
We'll do
It'll
an
help.
Sharon, we'll be doing Abe Hicks Death Lectures class too. I've got to find my favorite one and see if Esther puts it
That's
back up or if I can buy it somewhere or something because it's amazing. But so there'll be a whole lot of those coming up, Rita, that you can dabble in if you want to. Or you can study on your own. That's what I had to do. So
Yeah,
you know.
I kind of tend to, if I try to think, I'll think, well, I'll just go look that up. Then I don't go look it up. I need somebody.
You
me
need the
that.
accountability of class.
Yeah.
Like me and my
Well,
gym
and
members.
the discernment, Rita, is literally a product of practice.
Yeah.
You have to practice it. And honestly, the very, very, very best way to start with that is the flipping sign of the week. And Kat has not been regularly posting a sign of the week in the Healing Warrior Parents group because she's had so much going on.
Right.
There are other groups online that post signs of the week as well. You can come up with your own sign every week with Patrick. Just
You can
ask
ask him.
Patrick. Ask Patrick, what sign do you want me to look for this week? And the first thing that pops into your head is what you're going to look for.
Okay.
And that is going to start opening your awareness and
Absolutely.
strengthening those bonds and letting him know that you're serious about honing the connection.
Yeah.
And the more commitment they see from us on this side, the stronger they start to come in. And as our awareness opens, the discernment, it starts coming naturally. And pretty soon you're like, well, heck, this is just part of my real life now.
That's my goal. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just like learning how to cook. The first time you cooked, you weren't really good. It's practice. You got to practice at it.
And it's like learning the language of spirit, and the language of spirit. I mean, sometimes we'll have these big, huge happenings, right? These big, huge experiences, but the daily relationship happens in the subtleties, right? It'll happen in the subtleties. So in the seemingly everyday things that you think, oh, that's a cool coincidence. Well, there is no such thing as coincidence.
Right,
That's
right.
just a man-made word to
Mhm.
explain away spirit language, you
Uh-huh.
know? So yeah, and Kathy's right. And start practicing with him, because this is a reciprocal relationship, guys. It's not like you can't reach out to them. You can't, like, this, it's very much just as it was when they were in body. It's a give and take, and it's a reciprocal relationship. You know, it doesn't just have to be you going about your business and you wait for a sign. Like, it can be, okay, I'm going to sit down and connect today. I'm going to sit down and do a guided meditation. I don't do that stuff with Leaf anymore because I've integrated my relationship with him. Kathy doesn't really do it with Sophie anymore. We know how to, we have the awareness of our kids so they can come, they can use the earth realm to come. But when
Yeah.
you're first learning, doing those things and marking out time to sit down and do guided meditations with you know, deceased loved ones, or use the divination tools like the pendulum and the dowsing rods and the oracle cards and the things like that, doing those things are all going to help with your awareness. Playing the sign of the week, doing the sign of the week on your own with them,
Yeah.
watching for synchronicities. Like, I don't play sign of the week with Leaf now, but I know that if I see, like, a week or so ago, everything was kangaroos. Maybe he was hanging out with Skylar, actually, come to think of it, Lee. I'm just now putting that together. Because you're in Australia, so that
He
actually,
probably was.
that track. But so I was like, okay, Lee's sending me kangaroos. And literally until this moment, because the whole time I was like, why the hell are you sending me kangaroos? And then I just got, well, because Lee. And so, yeah, so he was, I mean, and it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So it took me, you know, 2 weeks to be like, oh, okay, he's hanging out with
Right,
Skylar.
right.
Now I get it. But so if I see repetitive something, I know that that's from Leaf. I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
don't know what that means, but all righty. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just a hello. Sometimes he's trying to tell me something. Because I'm human, it can take me 2 weeks and maybe up to 6 months to figure out what the hell he's trying to tell me. But so yeah, so the more you practice, it's just like learning Spanish. The more you practice Spanish, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
I fortunately was able to learn spirit language a lot better than any other foreign language that I've ever tried to study.
And the more signs you claim, the more signs you're going to see. If you even think for a nanosecond that something is from Patrick, it's from Patrick.
Okay.
Claim it as from Patrick and be happy about it and celebrate it. And the more you claim, the more you'll see.
Okay.
And for those of you with more than one person in spirit, like Darlene, I know all your men are in spirit. Don't worry about figuring out what's from who at this point.
Right.
Just don't even worry about it. Just take it as it's all three of them working together right now. Or, like, you know, Kate's just now learning to discern between what Kavi sends and what Anthony sends. That could take a while. So if you have more than one person in spirit, just know that they're all working together at that point to get the message to you that they are right there, you know?
I think I've been focusing on Staley because he died last. He died in March of this year. And the other two it's been 3 years for Alan and 5 years for Justin. So I think I've been really focusing on trying to be aware of Staley.
Good. I don't think that's bad. You know, the boys are going to help him, obviously, but you know.
I know they're all together and they're not in any pain. And I work through a lot of stuff on that. I start my grateful every morning. And
good.
So I am, but I've been the holidays have been real strange for me because my daughter wanted me to go back to Chicago again for 3 days just to be with her over Christmas because it turned out that her husband couldn't come. And so I felt sort of awkward in that. And there I've been to Chicago twice in a month. And with the baby and I didn't want to ask her if everything was all right with her and Mike. You know, I figured it was. They talked on the phone for a couple hours one day. But it was just, it's hard for me to bring up Staley and Justin. Not so hard for Alan because everybody knew Granddad and, it's easier for the rest of them to talk about him. But I just felt like it made people uncomfortable for me to talk about Staley or Justin.
I think it depends on how we talk about them. So I think that number one, it's always going to be up to us to bring them up because people are going to avoid bringing them up. They're going to be the elephant in the room because people don't want to cause us pain.
Right.
For me, it was very healing for me to speak Leaf's name and to, and so I didn't care if it made them uncomfortable. It wasn't my job to make them comfortable while I was grieving, right? It was my job to make me comfortable. And what made me comfortable was talking about my son. So that's what I did. So if
I'm not doing much of that. I think I'm still hibernating. I'm just trying to avoid. I'm not into all things Netflix anymore, but I'm still, I still don't want to just sit down and journal about Staley. I just, I've sent gifts to all of his children and I've talked to all of them, and I bought all of my grandkids a selfie stick so they can take pictures of them and their families and their dogs and send me pictures.
I think that's good.
Well, it seems kind of selfish, but I thought it was something I'd like to learn how to use myself, and I don't
Well, I think
spend
you
the
should, I think you should, Dowling. That's what I was going to say is if they're going to send you selfies, you need to be sending them selfies. That's a good step to getting out of your hibernation.
Yeah.
Well, I did buy one for me too. Mine came today. I thought I had somebody who wanted one of them, saw that I got 4 in the mail and wondered if they could have one. Well, I had 4 grandkids. So, but then another one came today. So I must have done some midnight spending. I've been known to do that. So that's all I had. I just felt like it's harder for me to bring up. When I talk to Staley's kids, I always talk about him and we talk about him, but like when I was with Brooke, and actually Brooke has lost 2 brothers and her daddy in the last 5 years also. And then she's got issues going on with her marriage. So she's staying in Chicago to be the nanny for this baby that's not developed as much as they had hoped that she would. Her daddy is 6'7", and so she's a really big baby. She's like a 2-year-old, but she can't toddle yet, she's. So anyway, a lot of issues with that baby. So her plate is really full. So.
Well, and you might just open the door and say, if you want to talk about him, it's okay with me, and let her know that it's okay. Because if you guys are both, she may be saying, I don't want to talk about him because I don't want to hurt mom's feelings. And you're saying, well, I don't want to talk about him because I don't want to hurt her feelings. And maybe both of you want to talk about him. That's miscommunication. So it's really, really important, guys, in your journeys, in your healing journeys, to learn to have open, honest, communicative conversations with your people instead of just assuming how they're going to feel about something. We all know how we feel when people assume how we're feeling, right? Lee just dealt with that. Like her family assumes she's fine and let's all hang out like we always have, when really there need to be an honest, open conversation about, Lee, where are you at this year? How are you feeling this year? Do you feel like doing this?
Right.
So when we make assumptions on either end of the deal, it's no good. One of the gifts of this journey is that you can open up honest, heartfelt, deep, graceful conversations. So you might try that, Dowleen, and see.
I did some of that when I was in Chicago. We talked about Alan a lot. And a bit about Justin. My granddaughter has always resented my other son, who was the oldest one. And so I didn't talk very much at all about him because she just always thought that nobody held him accountable. But that's her judgment. That's
Let
between
her
her
have
and
her, you know what? Let her have her judgment. It is your sovereign right to talk about your child, period. I don't care if somebody
Right.
thought it's the worst dude on earth. Good for them. Let them think that. That's their business. Your business
Well,
is that you get to talk about him whenever and wherever you want to.
and he did love it when he went to Chicago to visit Justin, and he loved it when he came to Chicago to visit us. And
Mhm.
being in Chicago brought up a lot of stuff about Justin lived there. Of course, Alan lived there with me, but he's been in Texas for 5 years with me till the last 3. Anyway, yada yada yada. I'm talking too much.
You're fine. I'm glad that it was I mean, it sounds like it went okay though, at least. So that I
It
figure that's
did.
a win. That's a win, right?
It did go okay. The plane was late an hour leaving Chicago. But then
Mhm.
I realized when I got home and looked on the news, I could have been flying Southwest and I would have still been somewhere.
You could have been up a creek, girl, for sure.
Right. So,
So, all right.
all right.
Well,
Well, thank you, Nikki.
thanks for sharing, sister.
I just want to say, I have actually said to people before, look, I talk about Patrick and that's just the way it is. I talk about Patrick, so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if it bothers you, sorry, but I do,
Well, and what you guys are going to find in the first probably 2.5, maybe 3 years for me, Leaf was my point of reference on everything. I talked about him. I don't talk about him a lot anymore because I don't talk about him a lot any more than I talk about Omri, because he's a very present in my daily life. And so I don't have the need to like, when Kathy and I hang out, Kathy and I really don't talk about Sophie and Leaf. We talk about everything else we got to talk about because it's just like
Right.
Sophie and Leaf are here, but they're out with their friends,
Yeah.
which is pretty much true. So just
And
know
I
that.
did a lot more of that the first 2 years after Justin died.
Yeah.
And then a year after that, Alan died, and I was in the caregiving mode of getting him back and forth to all the doctors and stuff. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm really ready to start moving again a little bit, but I've got my selfie stick and I got the directions out.
You need to
And
get out, go for walks. We expect to see selfies of you all over Texas in front of all kinds of
okay.
pretty stuff, taking your selfies and posting them online.
All right, I will accept that challenge.
Okay, sweet. That's
Okay.
your 2023 intention goal, Darlene.
Okay. Thank you. Learn how to make that camera work.
Learn how to make it work. Good luck. I don't know how to work one. That's way
Well,
too techy for me.
but my brain used to learn stuff, so I think it probably still can if I work on it.
I bet it still can.
Yeah. Even
All
if
right.
half of the instructions are in Chinese.
You can probably Google it. I bet you can use the Google.
I
No.
forget about Google. Google teaches me a lot.
You and me both, girl.
Well,
All right.
thanks. I feel better for sharing that
I'm glad you
little
shared with us.
little bit of nothing.
Hey, it's all
Well,
something.
last night I listened to all that Rocky stuff, and I didn't, because none of it seemed to apply or fit to my 3 guys. Someone was a 4-year-old and someone was a 20-year-old. Well, my guys were 38 and almost 50, so it doesn't make them any less a part of my life, but it's not the
No.
same thing as losing a 4-year-old.
Well,
So,
to me, age doesn't
but
matter. They're still your kids. It's still your spouse. So
Right.
I don't play the one is worse than the other game. I don't do that. The grief community does that. Nikki does not do that because to me, it's all relative as a personal experience. And so,
Exactly.
you know, but Darlene, I would recommend that. Have you had a private medium reading? For those of you that have not had private medium readings, get with, what was her name? Kimber? Was her name Kimber? I'm
Get with
totally,
get with Marie, get with Karina, get with
Karina.
Rachel.
Good Lord, Karina. Why I am having total brain blankness tonight.
It's
Karina,
Rachel Slagle.
yeah, but
We're connected somewhere. But I
Karina and Marie you can sign up for one free reading with them, I believe. So if you guys have not
Okay.
had private readings, get with them. And that's one thing Kathy and I have to do. We have to get the resource page linked up, all the links and all that stuff. But if you haven't had one, get with them because having a private reading can literally change the trajectory.
Mhm.
Or Crystal, are you doing private readings? Are you just doing, Crystal does private readings, you know? Debbie's practicing. So there are a lot of different opportunities for you guys to get one-on-one
Okay.
reading. Utilize
Okay.
those. It can change the whole
I will-
trajectory of your healing for
I
sure.
will do that this week for sure.
Good, good.
That was the first thing I did was, I don't know how I stumbled onto Rachel, but I just, I went looking for some way, somehow that I could make sure that Patrick was okay. That was just all that I could think
Perfect.
about. It was, and I fortunately stumbled onto Rachel because Rachel's just awesome, and
She is
actually
awesome.
she's how
She
I
is.
found your, this page, and well.
Rachel
the
is
big
fine.
page.
She's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
She
So
really is.
Yeah, she's an earth angel. And she'll be at
Mhm.
Warrior Week this week or this year again too. So
I'm trying real hard to figure out a way to go to that. I really want to go to that.
Oh, you have to, Rita, and I drive down. So
Uh-huh.
if you want to go, we might be able to work out a carpool situation.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it.
for any
It's
of you
so
that live around
fun.
Kathy, she drives. So
Gotta have my car.
we'll be bumping the information for it, the payment plans and everything for it and the big group too. So
Bye,
Yeah.
Lee. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Thanks so
Happy
much.
New
Lovely to see you
Year.
all.
we'll see
Bye.
you in a
Happy
few
New
days.
Year.
Today.
Yep. Kat's
Bye.
on the 1st. Kat does her energy reset.
Oh
on the
yeah, I'll be
1st,
there.
And we're on the 2nd. Bring your vision board on the 2nd.
Yeah, I've got it all over the floor, messy. So
I
yeah,
probably won't
making a
make
start.
that thing in the
Thanks.
first.
Thanks,
It can
ladies.
be just posted tapes.
Yeah. So that's something I want to talk to you guys about. We are going to start moving through and setting in healing intentions for 2023. I don't like to call them resolutions. I like to call them intentions because resolutions, you don't have to resolve to do it. You're just setting the
Right.
intention to do it. So the thing about intention is when you're talking energy and you're talking healing, when you set the intention, the energy is shifted into emotion. Then when you put action steps behind that intention, it increases the momentum, right? So when
Right.
this week or these next few days, when you're thinking about this, just you can use words. What I want you to do is make a vision board for you to hang on your fridge. And I know it's totally cheesy and cliche, I get it. But in terms of setting intention and moving forward in that direction, these serve as a great visual reminder. And they also, because you've then put an actionable step behind it just by putting the word down on the paper or putting the picture down on the paper or whatever, you've already increased the energetic momentum because you're actually you've cut it out, you're putting it on the paper. There's already a little bit of
Alright.
action behind it.
A check
So-
mark or a star.
Well, what you'll want to do is like, say you want to learn to meditate. You can cut out a picture of somebody meditating, or you can put the word meditate and put it on a piece of paper. And then you're going to put all of your words or all of your pictures on there. You can also add in things you want to work on manifesting. Like I've done a vision board before. I put a picture of a cruise ship on it. I put a picture of living on the beach on it. And literally within a year, I didn't live on the beach, but I lived near the beach. I was doing both those things from
Wow.
Southwest Missouri. So as cliche and cheesy as it is, I'm like, dude, I totally believe in this vision board thing as far as manifesting. So there are a lot of different reasons we do it. Don't be scared to put things that you want to manifest into your life too. Like for Sharon, you might put this, put things that center around this new job opportunity that you're wanting to do so that it can still have some energetic momentum behind it, even if the divine timing hasn't aligned yet, right? Because that's just going to bring it closer
Yeah.
to you. So I want healing intentions. Plus, don't be afraid to add in other stuff you want. Like Crystal, if you want to do more group readings, put that down on your thing. I know you said it was great last night, and Crystal forgot to hit record, so there will not be a recording. Girl, I've done it before, literally in my classes, in coaching. Ask Kathy. For a long time, I'd have to say, please tell me to hit record because I have forgotten literally in classes where people have to have the recording for their like forever stuff.
Oh no, as soon as I clicked off, I just was, yeah.
It's
No.
okay.
When I did a group, so I've done, I do individual one-on-ones or family or more than one family member. I've done those, but not a group like that. So
Right.
I was kind of like, dang it, I really wanted that recording.
You wanted to be able to go back and look. Well, and for those of you that are developing or in development or just starting out, I mean, you can get with me and Kathy and I can set up some stuff in the big group in Healing Warrior Parents for you guys to do some practice stuff too. So don't worry about it. We can set up more of that,
Okay.
But this is what I want for your vision boards. It can be stuff that you want. It can be stuff you want to manifest. Like I'm putting a tummy tuck on mine. I don't know if that'll happen, but it sure would be nice. I keep telling Leaf to send me a plastic surgeon that can trade out services with me. But, so think about the things that you want to manifest and what your healing intentions are. I was reading through your guys' list that you've got going in the thread, and you've got some really, really good stuff. Get detailed with it. If you guys go in and you look at Becky's is super, super detailed. The more detail you get in there, the better. When you're talking intention setting, the more detail, the better, right? So it's like,
Okay.
I want to set the intention for this. Instead of, I want to set the intention to learn to meditate, maybe it's, I want to set aside time once a week to meditate, to meet Parker, right? So get really,
Right.
really detailed with the intention that you're setting. Not just like for Debbie and I, because Debbie and I go back and forth to the gym. For Debbie and I, for like our gym time, it may be like, because we set a certain amount of time that we walk on the treadmill, maybe Debbie and I will be like, we want to be able to walk 3 miles. Oh God, that sounds exhausting. 3 miles in this set amount of time. So get detailed with your intention, because the more
Right.
detail you get, the better it's going to manifest for you, and the more energetic momentum you get running up behind that. Lynn,
Okay.
you had said that you have some different kinds of intentions for this year, which you were excited about. Do you want to share those?
Oh, sure.
I'm being nosy, because when I read that, I'm like, well, I want to know what they are.
Well, I've been sort of having these, I've been way too addicted to social media this year, like just,
Mhm.
Twitter and Facebook, and I find it's draining, it's exhausting. When I
Yeah.
read sad stories, I get sad. When I read happy stories, I get envious. And when I read people that I don't agree with politically, I get pissed off.
Oh, I know you and your politics, girl. I
Yeah.
know you and your politics.
So that's one of my, like, normally I've got to lose weight, get fit, eat better, all that rest of it.
Mhm.
But this one is really important to me, I think, getting off the social media, because it's,
I think that's good, because
and it's
if
like,
you're
it's a complete addiction, really it is.
well, and if you're finding that it's emotionally triggering for you, then you are
Yeah.
literally taking yourself on an emotional roller coaster
Yeah,
ride every hour of
exactly.
every day. That's why you're tired,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
the other piece of that I would add in, Lynn, that if you are seeing people that when they're happy, you're envious, that means you got shadow work to do,
I
girlfriend.
know. Yeah, I know. I
She's
know.
like, I know, Nikki, I know. But I mean, I can get that because I have to, like, there will be a lull for me after program ends in January, because during this time, I have my personal life that goes on. Tom was in the hospital, then I got, like, good Lord, really sick. And, plus running the program, plus I do private sessions, plus, Kathy and I still have to man the big group, plus I have to do the business page. So I will try to take, like, at least a week in January where I minimize that. I mean, I still have to look at the big group every day, and I still have to do the business page every day,
Yeah.
but because otherwise I get drained, because, I work on social media. So it can
Yeah.
be extremely draining. So, are you going to, do you know what your plan is with it, Lynn? Like, are you going to say this many days a week, or are you just shutting it off completely? Like,
I'm kind of torn. I'm thinking maybe I should give myself, like, I mean, I'm talking also about games and like stupid games on your phone. I mean, I've got neck tech, just terrible. Like, it's just getting right out of hand, right out of control. So I think I'm going to try to give myself, like, put a timer or something and say, you're on this time, and maybe shorten it each
well,
week.
and
Or
use it for healing. So, like, the games that I play on my phone, I'm not a huge gamer person though, but I actually started playing games to help with my cognitive function through Grief Brain, through the brain fog. So I go on, and there's a couple games I play to literally just spark some executive function in myself, right? And then, like, my Facebook wall, unless I'm a little bit in my shadow, where, like, today I'm like, Ron DeSantis is an idiot and I want to punch him in his face. I don't generally get political, you know that, Lynn. But, like, if I'm very convicted about something, I will a little bit. But otherwise, what you'll mostly see on my Facebook page is, like, it's usually it's stuff that I find inspiring, or stuff that reminds me of something that
Yeah.
that feeds my light instead of my pain. So you guys can build your social media to be a healing tool for you, right? You
right.
can use your TV shows to be a healing tool for you. Like, I use a lot of TV shows to walk through a lot of my triggers in grief. You can use your games, but like you said, Lynn, definitely set, a time limit so that you can enjoy your earth life
Yeah.
outside of that as well.
Yeah. Because I was
that's a good one.
thinking, I mean, the thing of all the things I could be doing, healthy things, instead of sitting in front of the goddamn phone and, getting myself worked up and.
She's ready to
Well, Lynn, there's also, if the things that are working you up are part of the problem, you curate your feeds. Because I used to have a lot of that political shit on mine too, and I just got tired of seeing it, and I started unfollow,
Yeah.
block, snooze.
Yeah.
And if you like more of what you want to see, you're going to see more stuff like that, especially on
Right.
Facebook, because
Yeah.
that's how
Right.
it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can really skew that algorithm to curate only what you want to be
Right.
exposed to on social media.
Yeah.
And I find that helps a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm totally with you, because every once in a while y'all see me disappear and I'll be gone, and Nikki will be like, Kathy, are you okay? I haven't seen you for a few days. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not humaning today. I gotta,
Yeah.
but curating your feed might be a balance while you're working on cutting your time down,
Yeah.
so you don't have to go totally cold turkey, because
Yeah.
cold turkey ain't gonna work. Just like going cold turkey on your diet or anything else,
Exactly. I
cold
know. I
turkey
knew
hardly
it
ever
wouldn't work for
works.
me. No, I'd just be back right where I started if I did that.
Well, I've done pretty much not cold turkey, but I only listen to the news 10 minutes a day. See, I want to know if somebody flies into a building,
I don't even
and
want to know that. I'm like, I'll hear it from somebody.
Yeah.
well,
See, that's exactly how I am. I'm like, if something major happens, other people on my Facebook friends list will be talking
tell them.
about it, and I'll see
Right.
their posts, and then I'll go look at the headline to see what the big news is. But otherwise, I'm like, nope, not looking at that
Mhm.
shit. Can't have it.
But that's a good example. 10 minutes a day. That's good because I mean, and for those of you that aren't there, shut the damn news off.
I
Don't look
do.
at that, because you guys have, once you're aware of how energy works, protecting your energy is important, you know? And it's like Lynn said, it's easy to get sucked into the earth drama,
Well, if
super,
you
super.
listen to the news, they keep repeating themselves every 15 to 20 minutes anyway.
I am impressed that you're even on Twitter, Lynn, because I've never been on it in my whole life. I thought I didn't even really know if it really existed.
Oh, God. I mean, there's a couple of guys on Twitter, well, a girl and a guy, and they're just insane. And I'm just like addicted to see what stupid ass thing they're gonna say.
It's a train wreck. You're addicted to the
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is ridiculous. I mean, and an hour goes by and an hour is wasted,
Well, and that's why it's just like it's just like in your grief journey, you have to be careful what you're feeding yourself. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys know, all of you know, we've all been in grief groups that have served a purpose at that time where you get the Me Too and this is horrible and we hate it and the club nobody wants to join. Like that served a purpose at that time. But most of us here, if not all of us here, have also come to a point where we're like, I'm not there anymore. This
Yeah.
feels
Right.
icky to me now. And so you've left those
Right.
groups. And so it's the same, you have to take that same application and use it for your whole life. You have to use it with people you're around. It may be with friends you used to have that you can't have anymore, you know. I can't remember what she told me it was, Sharon. I'll have to
Believe or something. Was it Believe?
I'll have to ask her.
It was Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her. I don't remember. And her recording is messed up and we can't seem to get it.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was, Rita.
Okay, I thought maybe Believe, but I wasn't sure that was right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay.
So, but this, like what you're doing, Lynn, social media, like blackout or whatever, you guys have to do that in your daily life too. You have to. You take that, start recognizing things that are toxic to you and your energy, and you step away from those things, And for me, that has looked like friends. Sometimes it has looked like, certain jobs. It has looked like, certain people. It has looked like certain family members. Certain things environments that I've been in, whatever it is. So you take what Lynn's doing social media wise, and you kind of have to do a thorough cleansing, because when you are aware of energy and you become aware of energy, like Lynn said, she's like, when I see these happy families, I get envious. Like she's emotionally aware now. And when you are emotionally aware of yourself and the energy that's behind that, then you want to find ways that keep you protected in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, I think that's great. I think that's a great idea, Lynn. Does anybody else have intentions that you've been, you guys had great lists. Has anybody else been thinking of other intentions or things you want to manifest for 2023? No? All right. We all good? I love it when you're all good. Makes my job really easy. I'm such a smart ass. Okay. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to share or comment about?
I added a post in the group asking people if they wanted to share what was really important about their healing or how they honored their child. And a few people have responded. It's been so nice. It's been nice to read more because a lot of you guys know each other, but I didn't know anybody. So it's been really nice to learn more.
You know what, Sharon? There are a few people in here that know each other, but honestly, this year with the program, we've had more new people come in than usual, which has been really nice. The few that do know each other is because they've taken classes with
Sure.
Kathy and I, so they've gotten to know each other. So I think it's fabulous that you did that. And as you like, if you get more active in the big group, you'll get to know, like, I mean, Rebecca's gotten to know people through the big group and through the smaller classes. Lynn has too. You know, and very few of us have ever met in person is the great thing, but you feel like you know each other, right? But I think it's good that you did that because what it does too is the more you guys know about each other and about each other's children, about each other's people, the more awareness you then have of other people in spirit too, you know? So I think it's great that you did that, you know? I think that that's an awesome post. And have you joined the big group, Sharon? Are you in
did.
the big group?
I am.
Okay.
That's how I got here.
Okay, good. So as I get more active in there, I get like I've been spread a little thin.
A little
But
bit.
as Kathy and I get more active, I mean, right now I'm just like double posting over there from what I do on my business page. But as we get more active in there again after the first of the year, I'm hoping to start some of those things so we can get more camaraderie going within the big group again.
And
So
Warrior Week is a really, really, really good way to get to know people because a lot of us had, well, most of us had never met in person before the first Warrior Week. And ask Angie, when she came last year, she didn't know any of us, and now she loves us.
She didn't get to come last year. She came the year before.
That was this year, doofus. It's still this year.
Oh yeah. As soon as something passes for me, like it's already Christmas last year. Like
Yeah,
2
no.
days ago was Christmas last
No,
year.
it's still this year.
How many years have you done Warrior Week?
This will be our 4th year.
2023 will be our 4th year, but we skipped a year. The first one was in 2019, and then we skipped a year because of the pandemic.
Yeah. All right. I saw about it this past year, and I was like, that would be so cool, but
it's so fun.
Yeah. My sister lives on the East Coast, kind of directly across. And I already had a vacation planned to go there like within a week or two. I forget if it was right before or right after, but yeah, there was no doing both. So.
Who else? Does anybody? Hi, Debbie. Debbie J. So you guys know, so when we meet, we're gonna have, Kat is gonna do the energy reset on the 1st, right? So on the 2nd, we will have our closing Zoom. It'll be the last Zoom of the program, just so you all know. And Kathy is working to get all of the recordings except for Kat and Crystal's, because Kat's having problem with her first recording. They will all go up on a private YouTube channel. Only members of the holiday program will be able to get access to the YouTube channel. That will stay up, so you guys will be able to go in and watch any of the stuff over and over and over again that you want to. There are a lot of people that oftentimes go back and watch, especially the coaching again and again, because you'll pick up on things that didn't resonate with you the first time that you're ready to hear the second time. So if you get down in a space, it's great to be able to have that access to that to go back and revisit it. Okay. So don't worry about if you didn't get them downloaded to your device. You're going to have access to a private YouTube channel for the 2022, almost 2023, 2022 program. Something else I wanted to touch on real quick is, are any of you having trepidation about, are any of you moving into the first, whose first year is it? Who's going to be their first New Year's? Any of you? Okay. So those of you in here, I'm assuming know that there is no linear time in afterlife. That's a man-made thing that we do here. That Your children are not being left behind in 2022. They're not going to miss anything in 2023. It's all, it's all in alignment and in flow. I remember my first New Year's, it was not very long after Leaf left body, and it was excruciating for me because I didn't have the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual truth that I have now. So if, bring them in, bring them in. I hope, if anything, what you can take away from this program is that any milestone day, any holiday, bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. Do it in your daily life. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. Okay. So I hope that you've taken that away. What we're going to do for closing is we may share vision boards, but we'll probably do that through a thread instead, because it's probably going to be easier for everybody to post a picture of theirs. But I want you to start thinking about how the program helped you. This is going to be the point where we kind of, I just totally lost the word. This is going to be the point where reminisce is not the right word. What word am I looking for? Review, where we review what you took away from the program. So I really want you guys to, because this is where measured progress comes in. I want you to think about where you were at before the program, really important pieces that you learned throughout it, or what it provided for you. If it was just a matter of fact, like it provided camaraderie for me, it was nice to be around other parents who were walking this same journey. To me, that's a win. If we walk away from this program with one win, if it did one single thing for us, then I call it successful, right? I call it successful. So this is very important because it's always a very healing thing to look at where you're at any given point in your journey versus where you were before. Rebecca's been in a lot of the holiday programs. She's done a ton of the classes, and even just with what you shared earlier, Rebecca, like you forgetting the candle and then being able to shift, like that's a huge win. And to me, it shows huge measured progress. And so even having done all the work that she's done, she can still say she has takeaways from this particular year because of the experience she had on Christmas this particular year. So it not only helps Kathy and I to see how we can serve you guys better, but it helps you guys to be able to see where you were versus where you're at now. Because even a baby step is still a step in your healing. And a lot of times in the grief and healing journey, if we're not doing it in leaps and bounds, our ego self starts telling us we're not making progress at all. Or, because it's such an ebb and flow and you go 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, then our ego self will say, oh, you really haven't done the healing, that you've been fooling yourself. And it says all these things to us. So it's really, really important to get really, really good at saying, okay, well, this is where I was and this is where I'm at now. And these were the things I took away from this in between, whether it's a class, whether it's a podcast you listen to, whether it's a medium reading you had. It's always good to check in on your measured progress, especially with your baby steps. Okay. I do want to apologize. This year has been kind of a shit show, guys, with Tom in the hospital and me getting sick, and then we had mediums that ended up getting sick, and we had to plug people in here and plug people in there. So I want to thank you guys for your patience with that. It has been a very highly unusual happening with the Christmas program. I know I'm behind on drawings. I have 4 drawings to draw for. I've got one of them posted for 2 drawings, and then I have 2 more to catch up on. So at closing, somebody don't let me forget, the last time it just whoosh right out the window. I totally forgot about it. So make sure somebody tell me, hey, Nikki, tell us who the drawing winners are. Okay. So those things will be mailed out after the first of the year, obviously. Hopefully you'll get them before June, which is what happened last year, because Nikki has a total diversion to the post office for some reason. I hate it there. But Kate's in town though, and she's usually good about making me go to the post office. So that's a plus. But so we'll get caught up with drawings. I'm trying to think if there's any other housekeeping. I feel like I'm just like spewing information out at you at this point. I'm all over the place. But so that's what we have. Like I said, the first, I want to say, what time is the first at Kathy? Like, is it noon or 1, Cats?
I don't know. I'd have to go look.
Check
I don't
your
remember.
calendar for the first and the second, because I think both of those days are different times than what we're used to doing. Okay. Other than that, does anybody have anything else to share or comment on before Kathy draws cards? Last time Kathy and I even forgot to draw the card in coaching.
Sunday with Kat is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Monday is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. There you have it. Thank you. All right, guys. Kathy, draw your card.
Okay, tonight we're going to do the Rainbow Warrior activation deck. And although I like the artwork on this deck, I don't recommend it to anybody if you like to shuffle your cards, because I don't know, the cards are kind of sticky. They don't shuffle really well. I'm not happy with that part of it, but I do like the artwork and the messages. That's just kind of an aside. Okay, let's see here. Ugh, interesting. Okay, let me
That
turn
doesn't
off.
sound good.
Let me turn off my blur.
Now
Okay,
that we're all terrified.
this is card number 4, so that's what it looks like. And card number 4 is alchemy. And the keywords are chemistry, partnership, fusion, magic, transmutation, and miracles. Alchemy is the ancient belief that one can turn base metals into gold, or perhaps find an elixir of everlasting youth. In other words, it is the creation of a miracle containing the perfect combination of ingredients. Nowadays, you don't have to go far to find gold. Even the Earth's core has enough gold to cover its entire surface. Miracles, on the other hand, we recognize as a series of events or a process that we may not have been privy to otherwise prior to witnessing the fantastic end result. Know what you have in your life right now is the making of a miracle, and there is a broader dynamic at work that may not be possible to see from where you're standing. Stay present and know all is well.
That tracks. And that's what you guys are doing. You're doing energetic alchemy. This is the transmutation of pain into growth and power. So it's literally moving from PTSD to post-traumatic growth. So it's happening on a lot of different levels, mind, body, and spirit. So as always, it tracks perfect head on. Okay. With that being said, let's go ahead and do our energy closeout. If I can remember it. I'm like drawing blanks in my brain here tonight. So, all right, everybody take some nice deep breaths. Get nice and relaxed. Close your eyes and visualize and say Archangel Michael,
Archangel Michael,
Archangel Azrael,
Archangel Azrael,
please come down,
please come down
cut all energetic cords
and cut all energetic cords
that feed me negativity,
that feed me negativity,
that do not promote my healing or higher purpose,
that do not promote my healing or higher purpose,
and that drain me.
and that drain me.
Please surround and protect me
Please surround and protect me
in divine white light.
in divine white light.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and so it is.
Okay, get that energy moving through your hands. Spirit hands, Spirit hands, spirit hands. All right. Hands out, palms up. Close your eyes. Nice big deep breath. And say, I call all of my power back to me now.
I call all of my power back to me now.
I want you guys to see those beams of golden light coming in from each other, coming in from all over social media, all over the world, anybody you've interacted with, anybody you've talked to, online or in your physical daily life. See those rays of light coming in from everybody, centering into the palms of your hands. They may change color. You may feel the palms of your hands get warm as they turn into liquid light and they start filling up the body cavity through the wrists, and it seeps down, moving into the arms, to the elbows, filling up those arms into the upper arms. They move in through the shoulders, upper chest space as it spreads up through the neck, easing inflammation, into the head space. You may see your third eye pop. You may see the chakras open and balance and cleanse as the light moves through. Take note of the color as it fills your head space. It moves back down through the neck, into the chest, through the heart space. Let it really fill up there, opening your heart as it moves through the upper abdomen. The colors may change. They may pulse, they may get brighter as it moves down through the lower abdomen, down through the buttocks and the hips, to the upper thighs, moving down towards the knees, down through the lower legs and the calves, into the ankles, to the heels of the foot, and to each and every tip of each and every toe. Now I want you to step out of your body and take a look at your body, glowing with your divine power that connects you to source, to your children, to your highest self, to your soul. You may feel hot and flush. You may feel tingly. A nice deep breath. Give thanks for your divine power. And then say, thank you, and so it is. Apparently, Loki decided to join in on calling his divine power back right while we were doing that. I apologize, because my little dog is rolling all over the bed talking right now. I'm like, really? Apparently, he is calling his divine power back and is feeling it.
He
So,
sounded like a gremlin.
he's ridiculous. Well, you know him, Debbie. He's ridiculous.
He
Like,
is.
the dog is ridiculous. So, all right, guys. Cat on when? Sunday?
Sunday at 4:00.
Sunday at 4:00?
Yes.
I don't really know what day it is today because this weird space between Christmas and New
Friday.
Year's every year. It's the most whacked out week. It just confuses me. So I want you all to have a happy new year. Bring your kids in. toast your connection, and know that they're coming with you into 2023. Okay? And I will see you next year in a few days. All right. Sleep with angels, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Nikki. Thanks, Kathy. Bye.
Good night. Thank you.